Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Undercard Smarks Podcast. Once again, we're talking all things about the wrestling week gone by. I'm your host Matthew Dale, and I'm here with Bradley Smith.
Hello.
How are you, Brad?
I'm excited. We're very close.
We're very close, 3 days away, I believe. And there's much anticipation towards the showcase of the Immortals, the ultimate thrill ride that is Wrestlemania. And this week we had the go-home shows for Raw and SmackDown. And once again, as the usual concept of this podcast, we'll review Raw and SmackDown, and then we'll take a turn and we'll have a special episode of our WrestleMania predictions. So a double upload today. So, and on that note, what did you think of the wrestling week gone by?
I think just because I'm so excited for WrestleMania, I didn't take into account whether the shows were good or bad because I was excited. So I was just taking all the last little bits of the build-up on board, and for that, it was a good week.
I thought that it was a very tentative week. I think it could have gone one or two ways. I think that either we could have been extremely looking forward to WrestleMania, or it could have been a sense of there could have been a lot more that could have been done with these go-home shows. And I really think that was the case with both shows this week. I think there's a lot of a repetitive nature with most of the show. Yeah. And I feel that sort of started with the first segment of the show, to be honest, which was Bayley coming out as the women's champion, and just once again talking about her dreams of going to WrestleMania, and then the other three competitors in the Fatal 4-Way match came out. What do you think of this segment?
Yeah, like you said, it was quite a repeat of everything we've seen so far, but I think on Raw they was trying to get some time for every match they have on the card at WrestleMania to have a bit of promo work, and again you don't want to risk your main stars or anything like that. But yeah, for this segment, it was like you said, it was just the same as it has been, and yeah, it didn't do much for me really.
It did nothing for me at all, and I think people watching it could think, oh, it's nice that the women are opening the show out. They must have a lot of faith in them, but I don't think that was the case. I think it was more of a case of let's get it out of the way and let's move on to maybe some other feuds in the show that have a lot more of importance. Maybe I just think that it's taken a step back. I think people are, like I said to you yesterday, I know it's a Fatal 4-Way, so obviously all four are going to be involved, but I feel like these four have just been shoved down our throats for way too long.
Yeah, especially Nia Jax.
Yeah, especially Nia Jax.
Maybe Sasha, not so much at the minute, but before, kind of Fastlane, it was a lot of Sasha. But yeah, I know what you're saying. At first, I was quite surprised they've opened with women as well, and I was thinking maybe they do have faith in them, or like you said, they're trying to get it over with. And it did seem more like the case they wanted to get over with because there's nothing new they could have done there. So they ended up all beating each other up. And then the only interesting bit was Sasha saying to Bayley that I will win, and then Bayley did like a turn of expression, but then they cut already, so it's that was the only good bit, and they've missed it.
Well, you say that they couldn't have done anything different with this segment, and you're probably right, but I feel like they could have tweaked a couple of things, and it was just a mirrored segment to any other of the segments, especially with Charlotte and Sasha. That face off really is, Charlotte always saying to Sasha that saying to Bayley that you shouldn't be trusting Sasha, and it's just very repetitive, and then Nia Jax just comes out and basically tells everyone to shut up.
Yeah. And
that culminated in the tag team match, and that really wasn't much, to be honest. It just is what it is with the women's division at the moment, especially on Raw, because on SmackDown you have more women that are involved. That's probably why there's a lot more women involved in their match at Mania. With Raw, it's just these four.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
there's always going to be this four, and that's it. and we'll see what happens in that match. Bayley and Sasha did pick up the win, and we'll like I said, we'll talk about this more when we get to our WrestleMania predictions.
Yeah.
Next match on Raw that night was Austin Aries defeating Noam Dar. I quite like this in a way.
Too. Yeah, I knew like it was going to be one of the bigger matches on the show this week, just because, like I said, they don't want to risk anything. And yeah, Noam Dar is a talented guy, and Austin Aries, he's still showcasing what he can do, and he did like a fantastic submission move to win. And it was great. It sent out a message to Neville as well. He was on commentary, and yeah, it was a good match. It was a better match than what you would expect.
And sometimes I might be a bit hypocritical actually when I say this, because I said with the women's they could have done something different, and it's sort of with the Neville and Aries feud, they're not doing anything majorly different in the fact that Aries would win his match on Raw, and Neville would not come out and attack him. He would just stay, wouldn't want to venture forward into the ring. But I think I like that in a way, because it reiterates the fact that Neville, this is an opponent that Neville can't take, lightly. And it was nice. Like I said, once again, it was showcasing what Aries can do in the ring, and no one else has sort of stepped up to the plate and challenged Neville in terms of like a submission move, and we saw that, and you could see the fear in Neville's eyes, which is what you want. You want to, especially when it's the cruiserweight, you want to build this up, saying that it is on the pre-show at Mania.
Yeah, sadly it is on the pre-show, but I think if the stipulation for the ladder match on the tag team, then the tag team would have been there, because there's no hype around it, so they needed that ladder match stipulation. But yeah. Later on the show, we'll talk about it a bit more later, but Neville won by submission as well, so it's kind of like, they're challenging each other to who's going to be the first man to give up, which is interesting, because if you submit, then that's worse than getting pinned, So in their match at Mania, I think there's going to be a lot of kind of going for those holds.
Yeah, it sets it up so nicely, and I think before, maybe if you just had those 13 matches that are on the card, and you ask someone what are you looking forward to the most, they would probably say the cruiserweight match. Probably not as much now because it's on the pre-show.
Yeah.
But like with what you said with all this, like the submissions and stuff, it's set it up so nicely, and then it's on the pre-show. So it's just a kick in the teeth for the cruiserweight division.
I think it's also because Raw got more matches than SmackDown, so they still want to showcase their main guys.
Yeah.
So it's like, we've got the cruiserweights as well. Let's just shove them on the pre-show, which is what they've done. And I mean, maybe a few months ago, then it would have belonged there because it was on the pre-show a lot. But now, we've seen. Neville's probably one of the best guys on the roster, and he's getting a pre-show at WrestleMania. It's just, a bit sad after everything he's done in the last few months.
Yeah, I just thought that with, like you said, with everything that he's done, in the last few months, that heel turn was great, and that was probably one of the best things on that Roadblock pay-per-view. And he didn't even wrestle, just because of all that reward. Give him that singles match at Mania, especially because he missed it last year. But it is what it is. You got to make time for Flo Rida and Pitbull, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, anyway, we'll move on to actually, in my opinion, one of the most anticipated matches on the card.
Definitely.
It was the Hold Harmless agreement contract signing between Triple H and Seth Rollins. I liked the fact that Seth is now a proper face.
Yeah.
And I read a couple articles reviewing, like I always like to see what other people are thinking, reviewing Raw and SmackDown. And the review that I read, they weren't really overly hyped with Rollins. Like on the mic, the more he's on the mic, the more he talks, the less enthusiastic people get. But I thought his promo to Triple H was great.
Yeah, I see what you say about, because kind of when someone gets injured and they return, actions speak louder than words, that's what they say. So I guess that's what they kind of mean there, because he did talk for quite a bit. But yeah, I think what he said was quite interesting, like how you're saying that Triple H changed him and everything. Obviously he forced that heel turn and broke up the Shield. And yeah, it's been a long time coming to finally get a full face turn, because at first the crowd weren't sure, but then when the music hit this week, it was a huge pop. And Triple H is I know a lot of people give him stick for being boring and saying the same things, but he really sold himself as the really bad guy here. And we've finally got a face on heel match like what they've planned, and I'm really hyped for it.
Yeah, well, many feuds that are on the card and with both of these go home shows, you can either judge whether you're hyped or not because of what direction each segment takes on both of these shows. And with this especially, I really think it's taken a huge step in the right direction. The only thing I would say is that you want to face in Rollins, and he's sort of bowing down to Triple H, because Triple H is like, you either sit down or I'm going, and he had to sit down. But since that bit, then it moved on great. And what I liked is Rollins said to Triple H, I really liked myself before I got involved with you, before I met you, and that you really have those two proper characters built then. And it might be the most the match I'm looking forward to the most, actually.
Yeah, it's quite relatable as well. We know people that change you in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a very relatable kind of story. Obviously, we're not all wrestlers, but and 2 weeks ago when he first came out, I was so hyped. It's probably my most hyped match at that time. And then last week it went a bit slow again, and then this week it's went right back up. And they've given it so much time as well. I think it may be one of the longest matches on the card, and it probably will be the most kind of drawn match, apart from like the main event, because they had like the 4-minute Metallica song with the Triple H music video, which was great. And obviously Triple H is a powerful man in WWE, so he can kind of do what he wants with it, and I think they'll make it a very good match.
Well, yeah, you watched Raw before me, and you said, you need to see that video package, like 4 minutes long. It was so good. It was really, really good. Like, we've had some good packages in the past, probably like Daniel Bryan's at WrestleMania 30, and like you were talking about a few weeks back, The Miz at WrestleMania 27.
Yeah,
and that was great as well.
That was a really good
one. And the Triple H Rollins one is right up there. It's so good. And Seth Rollins was at the end of this segment, he was sort of on top, standing in the ring, and that sort of built it up very nicely to Mania. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, no, obviously Triple H attacked his knee again a bit, but then he did the swinging kick and got him in the head, and then it kind of showed that he's ready for this, even if he is a bit injured. The only thing I would say is that we're going to see. I'm not a fan of targeting areas all the time, so I imagine we're going to see a lot of knee work by Triple H, just because it's a bit. And when you're not as fit as you used to be, it's kind of something easy to do. But apart from that, it will be a good match, and hopefully it's. I've heard some people say it's going to be a street fight or something, and hopefully they do go kind of backstage a bit, or even just out the ring for a bit, and Triple H can do what he wants. Yeah,
and it's they sort of teased the pedigree versus pedigree as well, which was quite nice. Moving on to the next segment, something that I don't think was as nice. I never like the build up to Andre the Giant.
No.
Battle Royals, but I sort of didn't really understand the concept. I think when Big Show was just eliminated, that was it.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to eliminate Big Show.
Yeah, so.
I mean, it's been proven in the last few weeks that Big Show's not the biggest guy anymore.
Yeah.
And he's taller than Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman is the man. And it was weird because Michael Cole said he's just announced himself there, but I was like we knew weeks ago he was going to be in it. So, like when the Shining Stars came out together, and it's like, let's try to get Big Show out. It's like, you're two grown men, you should have been able to do that. Like Big Show's not even 400 pounds anymore. Like, it was a bad segment. Hasn't got me excited at all for Andre the Giant. The only thing that is kind of interesting me now is we all thought Braun was like this big outright favourite, but now Sami Zayn's in it as well, and possibly Samoa Joe. So maybe Braun won't be the last man left.
I'd probably say I don't think Samoa Joe will be on it. I think with those 4 names, I don't think it would have been on the pre-show if those 4 names were in it.
Yeah, that's true.
But then again, it might give Joe to do something. Maybe he'll have a busy night. Maybe he'll be in that, and then
Triple H, Kevin Owens.
One of the two. I think, because it was just a chance for the commentators to paint a picture of what might happen on the pre-show and to put more eyes onto the product. And the only thing that was great about this was after the match, I think, and Braun just cementing himself in the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
And I mean that's it really.
So there's not even much hype around Braun Strowman at the minute, just because it's kind of I mean, like even like last week when he was fighting Roman Reigns, it was great, and then the Undertaker kind of just stole his spot again, and then we've forgotten about him in the last week. So
we have, and that is the only reason why I'm disappointed in some way that it is on the pre-show, because you're not on the main card and Strowman's standing tall, and I do think he still will come out on top, because out of the 4 Battle Royals, the Andre the Giant Battle Royals, 2 of them have been on the pre-show,
yeah.
2 of them have been on the main card. So anyway,
yeah, I guess like one like Cesaro won it, that was on the main show because it was Cesaro, like picking up Big Show.
Yeah.
But when Big Show won it, that was on the pre-show, right? So
it is what it is. We'll touch on the Neville and Jack Gallagher match.
I was happy to see Gallagher again. Like, from what I know, he hasn't been on Cruiserweight Classic. What's it called? 205 Live. So yeah, it was nice to see him again. What I didn't like is that the match wasn't as long, but obviously you don't have the time, and also he gave up very quickly after in that submission.
Yeah.
So he's obviously done Neville a favour, like tapping out like that. But yeah, I would have liked to see it a bit longer. Obviously, he had the spot with the umbrella again, which is always good to see. But apart from that, it was just a standard Cruiserweight match, isn't it?
Well, I probably wouldn't even. We may have moved on swiftly if Jack Gallagher wasn't actually in the match. We actually got quite a decent pop when he came out.
Yeah, we still like him. We obviously remember what he did, so we're not going to forget him that easily.
And one of my notes I put is that snap German suplex again.
Yeah,
it's so good, isn't it?
I can't wait to see that, man. Imagine the 70,000 people, all going, oh.
I know.
Because when we saw it for first, was it Rumble or no? It was Roadblock. We was like, oh, look at her.
But the only thing is, you say there's going to be 70,000 people there. People are going to be walking in. People are going to be walking in when the match starts.
I forgot already because I'm that hyped for it. Like, it's the thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully they kind of put it on last though, so by then you've got at least like 80% of people there.
Yeah, I know. In my mind, I just thought the Battle Royal would be on last.
Yeah,
I think the Bliss match will be on first. Whatever happened. SmackDown Women's.
Yeah, because it was last year, wasn't it? A women's match. And it was just so.
It was a tag team. Yeah,
it was so empty. Like, there's about 4 people at the front. It's like, I wouldn't even go out. There's no point.
I know, like Total Divas and like they all hype it up so much. Yeah. Like it's WrestleMania. It's like, but there's a few thousand people watching.
Yeah,
they're still coming in.
If it's 20 years ago, then But like we said last week, it's a participation award now, not really. It's the ultimate thrill right now. It's not WrestleMania. So.
With the Mania last year, I think there was real trouble. People trying to get into the stadium.
Yeah, there was.
I think like people still trying to get in when the Styles and Jericho match was on.
What? Yeah. So I wouldn't want to be missed.
But I'd like to think that there'll be more people in when the Cruiserweight match is on.
Yeah. WrestleMania 24, best WrestleMania ever. That was at the same place, so we're hoping for something.
Yeah, and I'm
big.
really looking forward to the staging as well.
Yeah, because that was my first WrestleMania I watched live, and that was kind of the first thing that kind of blew me away. That it was half outside, and it was so big. Like I didn't know wrestling had this kind of draw, but it's going to be a big Mania.
Yeah, like you say, that 24 still really sticks in my mind. Not just for the wrestling, but because of the entrances as well. You got like Ric Flair's and Edge's, just, Shawn Michaels. It's just
Charles Robinson.
Yeah, Charles Robinson. That was great, wasn't it?
It was.
The amount of times you sent me that GIF, or I've seen the GIF. But hopefully it'll live up to those expectations. Something that I feel like we might talk for either quickly and move on swiftly, or talk about for a while, is the Roman Reigns segment. Sort of just addressing the Undertaker.
Yeah, I really like the start of it because it was like classic Taker, like when Raw started and like all like it does. I was like, my TV's actually broke, and then it came back, and it was really good. Like these kind of things do excite me. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, the draw for Undertaker's kind of lost in me now, but when you have vintage Taker, it's so good. Like it's kind of so cheesy, it's good. You know what I mean? Like, and. Yeah, the thing I only took note from this really was like, when Reigns didn't like be bothered, like when the music hit again.
Yeah.
And like it's good because it's showing that he's not bothered, like he's not scared of the Undertaker. But yeah, sort of like really took from it.
Yeah, well, I said we might have talk about this for a really long time or short time because, again, what I've made by my notes is just like there's no build.
Yeah.
The storyline behind this is Roman Reigns says, "Oh, it's my yard."
Yeah.
The Undertaker says it's his yard, and it's just back and forth, back and forth. There really is no build, and they sort of try to take it in a different direction with the package of the Undertaker. Sort of, what was he doing? Barrett, digging a hole for Reigns. But it's just the same. Like he said, "Oh, I'm digging. This is your yard," It's just like it's the same thing, and it's very difficult to watch at times, and quite.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm angry at it, but I'm just disappointed that this does have a lot more potential, and for potentially Undertaker's last match, this is how they're treating it.
Yeah, I imagine like Vince's head. He thinks he's like a genius. He's probably found old footage of Undertaker when he has to do that again because it's great. But obviously it's different times. We want something new. I know I just said I like vintage Taker, but then again, I mean we could bring new stuff in. I don't mean like him coming down on a bike again, not like that, but like just something a bit different that we haven't seen Undertaker before because it is his last match.
Yeah.
Like even when he came back and had short hair, like that was cool because it was the Undertaker, a different Undertaker. So, and obviously the only reason Reigns is here is because he's the new top dog. He's the face of the company. So yeah, there's not much to it at the minute, but I think I can't take away from Reigns in pay-per-views. He does very well. So the actual match itself will be good, but the best matches at Mania so far are the ones with the good builds, like the Jericho Owens and the Triple H and Rollins. Like the build for those have been great.
The only thing I take away from this is, despite there isn't much build, I am still thoroughly looking forward to the match.
Just to see what way it goes, yeah. But I think I've very much cleared up which way it's going to go.
Yeah, and like I said before, we will be making our WrestleMania predictions in a special episode, which will be uploaded later on tonight. The sort of what I liked about Raw, not the matches itself, but the fact that there's now going to be a ladder match at Mania, for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Do you like how the match was sort of made with all the backstage segments with the ladders?
Well, I always wanted the women's match, SmackDown women's match, to be a ladder match. I thought that was what that was going to be. So I'm a bit annoyed that they've given it to Raw, but obviously that, like we've said, that's like the powerful show. It's the flagship show. They can do what they want with it. And I said to you yesterday, 27 to 30 didn't have a ladder match, but it always feels like there has been a ladder match every year at Mania. So we obviously needed one this year as well, because there's no other kind of stipulations, is there, apart from the holds harmless agreement.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as soon as you kind of click straight away. As soon as that ladder was used, it would be a ladder match. And it was nice. I went on to Twitter, and a lot of people were excited for it, so that kind of got me a bit more excited for it. But what I was thinking is just they were all like kind of big blokes, apart from Enzo and Carl Anderson. Like we've seen Sheamus in ladder matches before, and he's won them, so that makes sense. And Cesaro, he looks all right. He's like small but big at the same time, so he'll do all right. But we're not going to see any flips or anything, or So.
Well, you say that you thought that the SmackDown women's match was going to possibly be a ladder match, right? I think that really, really could have happened, but it wouldn't have happened on a pre-show. It's too much like historic, like WWE like to reiterate whenever something historic happens, like with the Hell in a Cell match and the Steel Cage match on SmackDown. So I think that if there was going to be a ladder match, it would have to be on the main card, and because they probably knew far out that it wasn't going to be on the main card, they thought give it to someone else. But it's a nice touch, and it will probably open the show. Did at 31 and 32 has a ladder match open both of those on the main card?
31 had Sheamus beat Daniel Bryan first.
Right.
Was that 31? Yeah.
Is it
was at 20, yeah.
But they were both Intercontinentals.
I was 29 actually, wasn't it? When he broke it, and it was like he kissed AJ. Yeah, that's 29. Yeah, I think 31 and 30 had 30. What was first last year?
Because Zack Ryder, and then the year before was Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
they're both ladder. Yeah. Because at 31, I remember like Luke Harper just slamming, powerbombing Dean Ambrose through the ladder, which was a great spot. It led to a mini feud between them, I think.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was really good. And yeah, obviously you can't forget last year, because that was Kevin Owens' first Mania. And he was great. So yeah, I'll probably open the show, and yeah, it's just nice to see a ladder match. So yeah.
Well, we'll talk about Kevin Owens. He didn't feature early on in the show, but he sure did feature at the end in the main event. Him against Sami Zayn in a no DQ match with Sami Zayn's job on Raw on the line.
Yeah, the thing that didn't we've said before that it kind of bothers us that we're seeing this match over and over again. But what I kind of liked this week is that these two guys are main eventing the last Raw before WrestleMania. And it kind of shows that, these guys are working so hard and they're always out there to impress. And it's great because these are the future of the company. Kevin Owens is a multiple-time champion already. And Sami Zayn would definitely get there. So if these two are kind of, there every week putting the hard work in, eventually it will pay off, well, we hope. The actual match itself, is for the night. I was kind of on my phone looking at what people were saying and stuff. But this was the first time I put my phone right down and just watched because it was a really good match.
A short match, which was understandable to make way for the face-off between Lesnar and Goldberg. But because it's probably less than 10 minutes, but it was for what the time that they had, it was still great. You know, and you just know that they're always going to put on a great show. And you knew that it was sort of venturing near to the end of the match when Samoa Joe came out, and then subsequently Chris Jericho. I just when Sami Zayn picked up the roll-up win, because sort of Jericho and Samoa Joe getting involved, I thought I wasn't as, like I said a couple of weeks ago, the Jericho and Owens, I just think something a bit more different or a bit more exciting could have been done, instead of the generic. Face cost the heel, like the heel cost the face 1 week and then the other way around. But are you still, regardless of that, are you still looking forward to it?
They've kind of have dropped off a bit and they haven't focused on by now you thought they'd be showing Festival of Friendship highlights and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, I'm not so hyped now, but before the actual match at Mania, then I know they'll show that and it'll get me hyped again because of everything that has happened. And I think we were so overwhelmed at one point, what has just happened? This is the end of it. And now we're kind of a bit underwhelmed. So it's kind of it's hard to take it all in at the minute because it did happen quite quickly. So that makes sense. When we see the build up to Mania, at Mania rather, it's going to be probably one of the best matches, I'd say.
Yeah, regardless of anything that I thought of Raw itself between Owens and Jericho, it's just the fact that you can just think, am I looking forward to this, and then just pinpoint a couple of things that have happened over the last weeks, and as soon as I think the Festival of Friendship and how great that breakup was. That was, like I said before, one of the best moments in Raw history.
Yeah, just the head going for the TV.
Yeah.
You just think of that straight away, and there's kind of emotion in this match, and that's what we like to see. We like to see a match that means something. And with Sami Zayn getting a roll-up pin again, it's kind of he's kind of like Rey Mysterio, if that makes sense. Rey Mysterio never really kind of got wins that easily at first, and it's kind of the same. When he got his world title, it wasn't really anything special. But so I hope Sami doesn't end up like that, and he can win matches by himself and be a long reigning champion. It just kind of clicked to my mind then that he is quite similar to Rey Mysterio. Yeah,
well, he's probably not going to get his moment this year, although he is in the Battle Royal, but hopefully next year is his moment.
I think so. I think if they could build it for a year, it would be absolutely great. They really could, especially with Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor maybe. They could build it so well. And the thing that would excite me is if it's Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn. No face or heel or anything, just a match about wrestling. Because that's what we saw at NXT, and it was one of the matches of the year. So if they built it for a year, then it would work absolutely perfect. But we kind of know what the main event is, so what it is already.
Well, they've got a cracking performer in Zayn who's you can just tell by just watching them that behind the scenes he's got the work rate.
Yeah.
And he really enjoys the company and enjoys working there and would do anything he can to put that effort in to try and make it to the top. He's in the upper echelon, but not the guy.
In the Battle Royal, he's going to do a lot of good things. Like Jinder Mahal's going to get thrown out straight away, and that's his paycheck, and he's off. But Zami's going to really kind of put the effort in, and I imagine he'll get down to the end with who I think will win, and then
I think that's one that we agree on, but we'll obviously get to that in the predictions episode. This probably summed it up that this is going to be the main event. The face-off between Lesnar and Goldberg. Despite the fact that Goldberg has just been on top of Lesnar all the time, bar that F5, I was really surprised that this still happened again. But at the same time, I was glad that it did. This spear from Goldberg to Lesnar.
I'm not surprised as much because it's a bit. I don't know. I kind of wish they finished on the F5 because Lesnar got squashed. Like Goldberg didn't have to prove anything this week. Whereas last week when Brock F5 did, that was great because it kind of put them in a level playing field. But now it's, it was good in the way that Goldberg's champion. He has to look powerful over his opponent. But he didn't have to do it, I guess. But it kind of makes sense because of the revenge last week. So, it didn't... I don't really think of it like how you did. I just saw it as it was coming because of last week. Yeah.
But I also thought there was a great decision to make because Goldberg has just totally dominated pretty much since Survivor Series in November, and Lesnar really hasn't had a chance to get his own back that much, and so everyone's just thinking, how can this be turned around so dramatically? And I think if Lesnar does win, if Goldberg is going away and Lesnar is going to be the champ, you want the shock factor, don't you?
Yeah, that does make sense actually. You're kind of thinking, well, Lesnar's been bullied by Goldberg. He's not going to win, and he'll surprise us all and win. But what I would have liked is if we went into Mania thinking, oh, well, maybe Goldberg's lost it, and he's gonna get squashed this time. So it could have went either way. I see why you said it was a good move. I can see what I can say it was a good move as well, but it could have went the other way as well, and it would have been a good move. At least it wasn't completely repetitive.
The only thing about this is that it wasn't really although it was a spear, it wasn't one of the greatest spears that you'll ever see. No. Cole didn't actually say it was a spear. He just said Lesnar's been taken down. Yeah. And you had to they had to tweak with the camera angles on the replays to actually try and make out that it was as effective as people would imagine it would be.
Maybe it's a bit of like WrestleMania 10 years ago when those two are.
Right. Imagine if it was
saying they don't want to put effort in.
Yeah.
Imagine
if Lesnar just...
this year it will be...
Yeah.
Because, obviously Lesnar's going to get rewarded for all of this. So.
And they've both said it on other podcasts before, like the Lesnar one with Steve Austin. He just said, his head wasn't there. He said when he stuck his finger up to the camera, it wasn't to the crowd, it was to Vince. Yeah. Goldberg was leaving just because, and he's notably said that he wouldn't really... He didn't talk to Vince for the majority of the year. Yeah. So even in the end, both performers at WrestleMania 20 never had that much of a good relationship with Vince, and they both didn't give a crap basically. But it's different this year, right?
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah, Lesnar just at the same time that he just wants his paycheck, he still understands his
role,
prominence, and Goldberg's doing it for his his kid and his wife. So
yeah, he'll get his actual WrestleMania moment, and then like you said, Lesnar. The thing is, on the Steve Austin podcast, Lesnar's such a nice bloke. Yeah. So I don't know why in the actual ring he's just all about money and things. It's a bit of a shame because he could have that. He's never going to be a face because of how he looks, but he could at least kind of make out that he's a bit bothered about the company.
Well, I think that on that podcast with Austin, I think there's very little people that he has time for in the WWE, and I think Austin is one of those real, true friends that he can probably talk to and rely on. I think for that hour he's just so comfortable and just wants to let everything out, and
talking about fishing and quad biking and stuff.
And even though when he said he didn't like people, he was still very relaxed and just said it and was just brutally honest.
Yeah,
and I believe that he just doesn't particularly want to hang about, and that's one of the reasons he left the company, because he didn't like the traveling. He hated signing autographs. He just hated the publicity.
Yeah, I think a lot of wrestlers like that, but they kind of make it out as if they care a bit. I don't know, but hopefully Lesnar kind of goes a bit away. I mean, if he's champion, he can't, but
he still might if he is champ. When he was champ a couple of years back, he missed some pay-per-views.
Yeah, we can't be having pay-per-views, especially when they're just Raw exclusive now, without him having the title. So I hope he really does kind of commit to this, and we see him have matches on Raw. Like what I noticed this week is on that Raw bit at the start, like they have Lesnar at one of the pay-per-views because there's no clips of him like F5ing anyone on Raw.
Right.
So I hope he does kind of commit if he does win, and eventually he kind of drifts out a bit, and we see a full-time wrestler get his chance.
Yeah, and we will see, and that was Raw. Overall impressions?
Yeah, like I said at the start, it just Wrestlemania week, isn't it? So you just take it all in and get excited. Count down. We're counting down every day. Yeah,
we've been so hyped for it. Like I said, with my impressions of Raw, is like you said, like it doesn't. Even if this was, and I'm not saying it was bad. I just think it was quite average, and maybe just above average. And even if it was bad, and even if I was slating into it, I think WrestleMania's 3 days away.
Exactly.
And you have these big names,
you
know.
And like Titus and Neil main evented, you wouldn't really care because you know why he would have main evented, because they're resting everyone else.
And I was just thinking back to all of the WrestleManias. In the last 4 or 5 years, you had last year you had Triple H, you had like the part timers. There's been a part timer in every main event since WrestleMania 28, and I've still been pumped every year for it. So at the end of the day, although there's a difficulty in trying to create these big stars on the level of like Rocks, there's still going to be these part timers around all the time.
Yeah. I know they say WrestleMania is not for the common, it's for the casual fan, but we it's not like we pay this money to watch just the main event. I mean, we take in the build of Jericho and Owens, and people that don't watch it all year round won't understand it, but they'll understand Lesnar Goldberg because they might remember them from 10 years ago. Yeah, but for us, we watch Raw because we want to see the other build-ups. So we can be excited for WrestleMania because we don't have to rely on the main event. We've got the whole 6 hours to enjoy.
Yeah, and we sure are very excited. And after all, that carried on to SmackDown. My impressions of SmackDown, sometimes in shows you get the good, the bad, and the in-between. And I don't think there was any in-betweens this week. I think it was either the segments were either really good or really bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall, though, it's quite poor, but like we just said, like you're excited for Mania. We're not really bothered.
Yeah, the last maybe 2-3 weeks the SmackDowns haven't been up to scratch.
Yeah.
To the times a couple months ago when we said SmackDown had just beaten Raw for the quality every single week, and they've been a lot more on the same level over the last few weeks, maybe say the last month. And when I say there's either good or bad, the AJ and Shane contract signing, I thought at the start I thought it was going to be really good, and it really didn't do anything for me.
And like Daniel Bryan being there, and it wasn't. I mean, contract signings are never really exciting, anyway. So it's not much. That's why I never get them. Like, you don't see a contract sign in between the mid card fights. So why do you have to see it for the main event? Like, it's just a bit boring.
Well, with contract signings, you sort of know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Usually, most of the time, contract signings usually end in table going over and people hitting the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
And although the table went over, it was different. And because I usually know what's going to happen in the contract signing, this disappointed me. I thought it was going to be great at the start. AJ walked out in his, I must say, a great new T-shirt, which I will probably purchase very soon. And I just thought he comes out, they're really ready for this, and I had these misconceptions about the match, and now I'm actually really looking forward to it. And then it just maybe even took a step back. And AJ is great on the mic, and although Shane, what he says, he very rarely stutters. It's like it was just a bit meh, and
it was
very plain, and you think AJ's just put you for a car window, that you must have some animosity that you want to get off your chest, even from last week.
I think it's his character now. He's he's a commissioner. He wants to be cool and collective.
Right.
So it's kind of his character to not, like last week he called him out, but he didn't do it in an aggressive way. So yeah, it's not like Shane O'Mac, I keep saying 10 years ago, but when he came down and did the little dance and all that, he still does it, but it's not really the same, is it?
It's not. Because
he is like this. He is now a commissioner and not just Shane's son, Vince's son rather. So, he plays the role well though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, there was no kind of anger or yeah.
Well, I said that he's usually very good on the mic, but I think that there was a bit of a pause and he was trying to remember his lines, and that sort of took the energy out of people, I think, and maybe in the crowd as well. There was a much bigger pause than I thought there would be, and it just ended with AJ just refusing to shake his hand, and off he went. And I don't think we saw either of them for the rest of the show, did we?
I don't think so. No,
that was it.
Yeah, like when you refuse to shake someone's hand, they always say that's lack of respect. So obviously that was the point of that. But yeah, it was just standard, wasn't it?
And before we move on, it seems to me that it's just going to be a standard singles match at this moment in time.
Yeah, I can't see. Obviously, they've seen AJ Styles and said he could work, anybody. But I mean, he can't work. He can't work miracles. He can't work Shane O'Mac in a 15-minute singles match.
That's the thing, and like, sure, he might put someone with the elbow drop again, but he's not going to be able to coast to coast someone. And you could say coast to coast someone without the garbage bin, but he's not going to be able to reach.
Exactly, like he struggles to reach the bin. Like, so how is he going to reach that extra few feet?
He pretty much missed it against Taker last year, and I think the one that everyone remembers is at WrestleMania 17 against Vince, and that was great.
That was
that's when he had even just the extra couple meters. He just doesn't have it in the tank anymore.
No.
So
the one with Undertaker, he fell down and kind of had to put his feet into it. So like,
yeah. But I mean, if there's anything to take from this, maybe Shane might have something different up his sleeve, and maybe something.
See, that's what I was thinking as well with Daniel Bryan, because he said he wanted to punch you in the face, but Daniel Bryan's always been involved with The Miz, so if anything's going to happen with him, I think it'd be there and not with Shane.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that I think they might just be relying on AJ to work miracles. I
think that's what they are at the minute. I don't think they have any surprises up the sleeve.
But there's no stipulation of that. Is there any stipulation in Corbin Ambrose?
No.
None of that as well. And it's like with the segments that have happened, you think both of them will probably have some.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've got other matches anyway that are just standard singles matches.
Yeah, when it's a big card like that, 13 matches, you kind of want just a couple of stipulations. I know the whole kind of recent rebrand is all about the wrestling, but it's nice just to see someone get hit with a chair for 20 minutes and then you can move on.
I know it is. It would be nice to have more of a mixture of different matches. And I looked on hopped onto Wikipedia and looked at all the matches, and it was just singles match.
I think instead of stipulations this year, we're getting interferences, which I really don't like.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of interferences.
Well, we'll just have to see. So in terms of either good or bad, I'd say that really wasn't up to scratch. And apart from right at the end, the sort of the tag team match, in the end, the tag team match between Mickey and Becky Lynch against Alexa Bliss and Carmella, really didn't do anything for me at all. And I think I take for this is before Mickey and Mickey and Alexa got involved and it was made a tag team match. They were just on commentary, and there was more cameras on that than the initial match between Becky and Carmella, and that really summed it up for me.
Exactly, and what they said at commentary was so bad.
The poor banter, or
like Alexa's great, and then she just got dragged down with Mickey talking about like when you go, do you wanna prove it, sweetheart, or whatever. Like, don't say that. Like, Alexa's so good at what she says. Like, don't ruin it. And so even when they've got fighting, I'm just fed up. Like, first of all, you've got David Otunga taking the life out of you, and then you've got Mickey James. So it's like, great.
Yeah.
I don't care that they're fighting in front of us now. So.
And at the end, I really thought it was so disappointing until Naomi came out, which was great.
So first Natalya came out, and again I was like, just go away. I don't like Natalya.
It takes the energy out of you, doesn't it?
Yeah, just go away, Natalya. Stop calling people ugly and all that, and just leave. Like, I really can't stand her. Like, she's so behind everyone else. And like you said, Naomi came out, which disappointed me because I wanted them to kind of. There's no surprises this year or anything, so to kind of have her come back at Mania, we all knew it was going to happen, but to have it happen at Mania and the music goes off, the lights go down, it'd be great. Like when she returned, like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And not when she just got injured recently, but before that as well. And like she came out and she had like all that rebranding and stuff. And yeah, like it would have been nice just to kind of see that at Mania, because I mean I'm not like a huge fan of Naomi, but even I would have got a bit pumped and feel the glow.
Well, I actually think that maybe there was not a proper reliance on those 5 that were initially in the match. It's now a 6-pack challenge, I believe.
Yeah, it's just
but
just
maybe
another word for a mess.
But maybe there wasn't a reliance on those 5 to be able to do the business.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And maybe that's why Naomi had come out a week earlier. I would have loved her to just come out at Mania and have her moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's more of a reason, even if the storyline is not there, the storyline's there. When the pre-show, there's more of a reason for the title to change hands, because when you're on the main card, the commentators don't allude to it that much, and people forget about it because of the main card. It would be just nice for her to have a title change. Because she's come out a week early, I'm not as sure now.
I think because there's 2 reasons they probably did it. Like, one is because it is the pre-show, and to get people to get there early, you're like, oh, Naomi's back, we might as well go early. That's probably both my reasons put together, really. But yeah, like she came out to do her promo, like her bit of mic at work, and it was all right. Like she said, she's gonna come back, but she never lost. But you didn't have to rely on Naomi. I mean, they've been relying on Alexa every week, so I guess they kind of did need someone else. Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah, and like you say, you rely on Naomi, you rely on Alexa, and you could rely on everyone else, but they just don't have it. They just don't have that. And especially when you're relying on Natalia to come out every week, and people don't want her to come out every week. There's too much of a reliance, and same with the women's division. That's why I really hope there's a big mix up.
Definitely
straight after the draft.
Yeah, because like I thought Carmella had potential, and then she went with James Ellsworth, and it's just lost.
Yeah.
And Becky's just the same. I don't like Becky, and yeah, so it's just they do need a big mix up.
I think they made a mistake with Carmella because there was a lot of potential there.
They definitely did.
Yeah, like the first couple of weeks where like there was segments with Carmella and Ellsworth. I thought, what the hell is going on here?
They could have done a lot more than just James getting involved all the time. They could have done a lot more, and it would have been a lot better.
It is a shame. So that wasn't great. I just put here Miss TV, best segment of the night.
Probably best segment of like the year.
Yeah.
This was. I don't want to talk about it yet. I want to talk about the first bit, like the total Bella bull.
Total Bella bullshit.
Yeah, I can't say that. it's bull stuff, and yeah, it was just funny again, wasn't it? Like, yeah, everyone was saying it's cheesy and stuff, but it's just funny, and we just enjoy it. We enjoyed John Cena being made fun of, like. And then the bit I didn't like was when he took all the clothes off at the end and like looked out at the camera like you're not Randy Orton, like don't do that. But yeah, like even when he got Daniel Bryan involved, that was funny, like with the juice box, and, like the yeses, and then Maurice did well being Brie again. It was just really good.
I didn't realise that it was that Miz was Daniel Bryan as well at first.
Yeah, me neither. Until I like zoomed in.
Yeah, but that was great, and because people who watch SmackDown every week understand the sort of the feud between Miz and Daniel Bryan, and it was just really, really, really good. Once again, it was just carried on. And I said to you last week, cause it said to be continued. If they show a couple more segments of that, people are going to love that.
Exactly.
And it's once again just going to, even if they just did that alone, it's still going to build up that mixed tag team really, really well. And on top of that, Cena and Nikki Bella came out.
Yeah, like you said, that if they did it for 2 weeks now, and it's definitely got me excited for the match a bit more, because I tweeted that John and Mike have done so well to get everyone else involved in this match, because at first it was a total Bella match. But yeah, I just want to talk about the Miz quickly, because like he is the best heel on the roster, like completely, like probably even in the whole of like, WWE. Like, I mean, you got Kevin Owens, but the Miz is so good, and he just deserves so much more.
Yeah.
But he does make the most out of every opportunity, and he's so good. In 2017, I hope it's big for him because just because of what he does. There's kind of the whole heel thing about the Miz is that he doesn't care, and he's quite mean to everyone that works there. But he does all the media, and he does all his extra bits. Like they probably had to do that themselves, and he's so invested in WWE. He's great.
Well, I think maybe me and other people have maybe been a bit brainwashed, because when you think of the Miz, and if you know in the back of your head in the recent years of what happens in the WWE, I think people might be brainwashed about the fact that he was in the main event of Mania 27.
Yeah.
And as soon as you think of the Miz, you think that, and you think that was a bad Mania maybe due to that. And I don't know if that was because he wasn't ready at the time. I mean, he'd already been in the company for a long time, but since then maybe in the last 2-3 years, he made something of nothing with Damien Sandow. And
I think, like you said to Cena, you stole it from me. You stole WrestleMania 27 from me. Obviously, The Rock stole it. And, when I think of The Miz, I was probably the biggest Johnny Nitro fan ever, going on to John Morrison. So there was a tag team together. So The Miz has always kind of been in my wrestling picture because of Johnny Nitro. And then as he moved on, he was with Jericho for a bit. And you can't miss The Miz. He's always kind of there. But yeah, like you said, you kind of do think about WrestleMania 27 straight away and how it goes down as one of the worst main events. But yeah, I think if you think past that, he is in the last 10 years, he's been the guy. Forget Randy Orton, forget John Cena. Well, you can't forget John Cena, but forget definitely Randy Orton, because he's always on the trucks and things. The Miz is the guy.
Yeah, and I really, thinking about this now, I haven't really thought about this before, the fact that he's been able to change his character ever so slightly to further his career as much as possible. Yeah. And he's had some great tag teams, like you said, with Morrison and the Big Show, and sure, we're now in the era where you just have these tag teams, not two single stars that come together. But in that period where there were big superstars that came together, he was right there on the forefront with those two.
He was always on the mic.
Yeah,
and it was.
And he's always believed in himself, especially for someone that has come to Tough Enough, and
that's the thing.
That
was the WrestleMania 27 package. It was so good. He talked about how everyone undermined him because of Tough Enough, and I think the success he's brought from just coming from that show, it's incredible, and it does go over a lot of people. They don't notice.
What did you think of Big John's promo?
Yeah, this is the best promo John's cut in years. He's always, John's always been the guy in the mic. He is. At first I was a bit kind of iffy because he'd put that voice on that he does, but he just went in so hard, and it was fantastic.
It really was. If there was anything to take away from that ever so slightly, is he said to Miz, he said to Maurice that the Miz is using her to get on Total Divas, which is a bit random,
childish as well, wasn't it? But apart from that, everything he was saying was kind of quite truthful. I think it wasn't a shoot; it was all set, but it sounded so real and hurtful. Even I was kind of feeling really bad for Maurice.
Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday, and she looked really, really hurt by it.
Yeah, unless she's a good actor, it probably did hit home a bit, what he was saying, because he's when you search for best of Maurice, and there's nothing comes up. I was like, she's a two-time Divas champion. You can't say things like that. But if you let John have the mic for a bit, and he's not trying to sell a match, not trying to sell a match, but not trying to sell I don't know how to put it, because usually John comes out and he'll talk about Fruit Pebbles and things, but if you let him say anything he wants, he will come out with the good stuff, like he did this week.
And sort of, like you said, he comes out with the good stuff, but at the end, he sort of had to. Oh yeah, this is a mixed tag team. I have a partner. We'll give her the mic, give Nikki the mic, and she'll say stuff for about 10 seconds. They'll make out and end the segment.
And she ruined it.
Yeah,
she had no time, and she ruined it. And for the whole time, she just stood there, like doing nothing. Like Maurice is like we're kind of used to that with Maurice, but even she was a bit more active, and Nikki was just stood there.
I think even within 2 weeks, you give Maurice a bit more time to talk, and she works wonders. You know, she's obviously learnt a lot from the Miz, and that this has kept her fresh and elevated her more, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if she's got a bit of ring rust when we go into the next tag team.
But you know, the way this match is probably going to go, it won't matter.
Yeah, and it's probably more Miss Cena, and I mean, I'm sure Maurice will do a bit more than just take a spear from Nikki.
Yeah, I hope so.
But I don't think she's going to do a lot more than that.
No, but I hope we do see. The thing is, I hope we see a lot of Miz and Cena, but then also people are going to be like, you know, this is a mixed tag team match. Like, get the women involved, like sexism and everything. It's like, don't take it that deeply. We're just more excited for Cena and the Miz, so we want to see more of it.
Yeah, and that's always been the foundation which has spurred this on.
Exactly.
And out of all the matches, all 13 matches, this is the one that's maybe been built the most. Not number one maybe, but one of the highest.
Yeah, if you took away Nikki and Maurice, this would be probably my most hyped match at the minute, just because of
despite what we just said about Mania 27.
Exactly. Like, I imagine Cena's going to go away for a while, but I hope when they come back, they get back into this, because they could do so much. I hope Miz is champion at this point as well. Maybe not WWE, but
I'd love him to be WWE champion. By Triple H said something that he's going to be. He wouldn't be surprised if he's champ by the end of 2017.
I wouldn't be either. He's so good. So, I mean, we haven't seen him ring much recently, but he has the ability to do it. Like when he's not imitating Daniel Bryan, he is actually really good. He's a really good performer.
Yeah. He's a great performer. It's a great segment. And then all the energy just got taken out of us.
Yes.
And like we had on Raw, we had just a preview of Andre the Giant, and although it wasn't really a battle royal, it was a 8-man, 10-man tag team. All of these are, I believe, all of them are going to be in the battle royal.
Yeah, because Daniel, the bit before was quite funny. Like Daniel Bryan gave Breezango
it was quite funny.
The last two bits. Like Tyler Breeze, he's a good guy. Like, you know, he was one of the best performers in NXT, and now he's dressed up as a woman for like a couple of weeks. But he's a good sport about it. And when he's like, when Fandango was like, "Yeah, let's go freshen up." Like, it was just
I laughed out loud when he said that.
It was just funny. And like when Daniel Bryan did the little dance, like it's kind of these little things that, you know, kind of get you through a slow episode. But yeah, the tag team here, and I thought we was going to see a lot of kind of Tyler Breeze in this, just because of the circumstances before. I mean, we saw a bit of him, and he did quite well. But it was a lot of American Alpha, wasn't it? That was.
Well, and the only thing I can take from this is the fact that it confirmed that there is going to be no SmackDown Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I guess something that had to take the brunt on it. But you say about all the competitors that were in it, I'd love to actually know what Tyler Breeze is thinking, you know, off screen, what goes through his head when he gets told he's got to dress up as Nikki Bella, and he's got to be ultimately buried by Nikki Bella takes a rack attack 2.0.
Yeah, because the gimmick worked really well in NXT. Like, you know, have this good-looking bloke who loves himself, but then you kind of get to the main roster, and it's like they're the kind of people you pick on. So he hasn't done great by giving himself that gimmick, but I mean, he got the call up.
Exactly.
He got the call up being Tyler Breeze, so he should continue to be Tyler Breeze.
And Triple H was a big fan of him, but I just don't think Vince was. Vince hated it.
Yeah, Vince is, you know, a big sweaty man. that's Vince, and that's not Tyler Breeze. So. And
it'll never change.
They'll win the tag champ. JBL said they'll win the tag titles, so I'm confident. In the next few weeks, we'll see Breezango tag team champions.
Yeah, and finally, if anyone is interested about this match, I wasn't, but the winners were Mojo Rawley, American Alpha, Rhino, and Heath Slater.
Yeah, Rhino getting the win. Rhino he's probably not ready for Mania now. That was the longest he's been in the ring in months. I know. It's taken it out of him.
I know. Anyway, I'd love to move on swiftly, and we sure will. The main event, which was a shame it didn't have enough time between Bray Wyatt and a much fresher looking Luke Harper in his new vest.
Yeah, I think if you put this match on 3-4 weeks ago, I would be probably the most hyped guy in like the WWE universe. But they did it to kind of get a bit of excitement on SmackDown instead of Mania for a bit. And fair play to Bray Wyatt for being on the final episode, but it was more for the ending. He was on it rather than the actual match, and the whole match Luke just dominated like he does, and then lost again.
Yeah,
it was a really bad Sister Abigail as well. I didn't like it.
Well, I didn't. I understood why the bit happened just before the Sister Abigail, but it's just like Luke is now properly free. He's away.
Yeah.
He's great on the mic. Some of the promos that he's had by the light that he holds, it's been really good. But still, he's sort of in a way tiny bit controlled by Bray, and with that massive pause, which ultimately cost him really. Is Luke not? Harper doesn't have anything planned. Not even the Battle Royal.
I imagine he's probably one of the unannounced people.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Because, he's just had like Brawny's had such a good year. Like, get this man involved in something. Like, even if it's half the people watching, they're gonna get behind someone like Luke Harper because he's a big man and he's great.
Yeah. Well, like we've always said, some people have to take. To fall by the wayside, basically, and
it should be people like Jinder Mahal, not Luke Harper.
That Luke hasn't just fallen by the wayside; he's sort of been just taken out completely, really, which really does sadden me. Because what I love about his matches is not just him as a performer, but the commentary team really big it up. Yeah. Especially Tom Phillips on Tuesday. With the discus clothesline and just other things, it's like big boot. Even to someone like that, they really hype him up.
Yeah,
which he deserves.
Yeah, like you said, if he's 7 foot, you don't get that around the ring as easy. But when you're hyping up moves like just a big, like you said, like a big boot, you get invested more. And that's why we all love Luke Harper, just down to little things like that.
And and that, like you said, that match is sort of set up. It was only for about 1 minute, 2 minutes of Randy Orton at the White compound, and what did he do? He sort of, I didn't really, didn't do anything for me. Randy Orton just sort of would do cementing the crucifix into Sister Abigail.
Yeah, it was really bad special effects.
Or the soul, or the remains, or whatever. What point he was trying to put across.
I've never seen one of those things before though. So when he had to explain what it was.
Yeah.
And it was just dumb. When his eyes lit up green that time.
It's like all of this supernatural stuff really doesn't do anything for me. Which I was going to say is a shame, but I don't think anyone wants it anyway. Yeah,
like we said, I think I was talking about it yesterday. They took the story completely the wrong way. They had so much they could have done, and they just lost it. They lost it 2 weeks after Chamber. They've done so bad with it.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was any other time, if it was any other pay-per-view, I would probably say it's I've nearly lost my appetite for it.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Mania, the fact that there's been such a long build. Same with Owen Jericho, such a long build. They were together in a tag team against Enzo and Cass or something at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
There's been so much time dedicated, so much thought behind it, invested in it.
Yeah.
You have to be into it.
Yeah, but we kind of forget about the Survivor Series and sacrificing himself and all that stuff because we just think about this supernatural stuff, and that's what I mean. They've just gone in the completely wrong direction. But I think they've hoped because it's Bray Wyatt, and everyone, when they were chanting "You deserve this," they kind of hoping we're going to be behind him no matter what. And Randy Orton's Randy Orton.
Well, you say about that Survivor Series, and although I haven't forgot about it, I haven't thought about the fact that you're dedicating all of this time, all of this build to this match between Bray and Randy, and as they pinned Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
The face of the company, and to be fair, they put a lot of sacrificing that for this match. People have to be into it, and on that note, you've had your overall impressions of Raw. What was your overall impressions on SmackDown Live?
Yeah, I just think Cena and The Miz kind of saved the bad show.
Yeah, I totally agree. To be honest,
there was no Baron Corbin either, was there?
No, there was a segment on Talking Smack between the two.
Yeah, because like I said, they're just trying to keep these two away from each other as long as possible. So at Mania, they're just going to hit into each other straight away, which at first does get you a bit pumped because you're like, oh god, all these hits going around. But yeah, there hasn't been much build to that apart from at the start when he eliminated him from Chamber, and then so on.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm really not sure about. Again, a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Should have a stipulation. Still might. You never know.
Like I said to you like a few weeks ago, like these IC and US matches could steal the show, but now I'm not so sure on the IC match.
Yeah, that's the one that you could sort of take or leave. Nonetheless, the fact that there is opportunity for Baron to get over, and last year won the Battle Royal, and exactly a year later wins not the big one, but still a very prestigious title. Yeah,
because there was a lot of hype around Baron Corbin. I know we really got into him as well, like in the character, and it just kind of drifted off a bit. And he looked a bit silly with Dean Ambrose.
Yeah,
and Dean Ambrose has just been his usual lunatic self. So I don't know. Maybe like there'll be like a chair shot or something, because then like Daniel Bryan comes out and goes, "Yeah, why not?" That's like I kind of hope that, because I do want to see some weapons get thrown around.
Yeah, and so do I. And I don't know. I think we better wrap up this episode.
Yeah,
and
second episode coming.
Yeah, so a special WrestleMania predictions episode. We usually incorporate the predictions into our episode, but I thought, just because there's so many matches and it might take a while, why not make a special episode for people? Yeah. So if anyone is listening at this moment in time, please check out the WrestleMania predictions video. That'll be up. But that's all for episode 7 of the Undercard Smarks Podcast. Thanks for joining me again once again, Brad.
That's fine.
And we will catch you later.